Hello, I'm James, and I'm an old guy in Europe. Hello, and welcome to another episode of An Old Guy in Europe. In this episode, I share some photos, videos, and experiences of my trip to Ireland with Konni and Hank back in September of 2023. So please sit back, relax, and enjoy. Surprise, I'm back! In my previous two episodes, 14 and 15, I talked with Carl Munson on Good Morning Portugal about my trip to Ireland back in September of 2023. So if you're interested in hearing more about my time there, then certainly look back at the previous two episodes to get that. In this episode, it's more my intention to share my photo album as if we were sitting on my sofa and I was sharing with you the photo and or video album I have of the trip. So it's not a tour. I don't have a lot of information about the places I saw. It's more about my experiences and what those images remind me of in that trip. So, as always, please sit back, relax, and enjoy. So I flew out of Lisbon, Portugal on Friday, September 1st, and flew to Dublin, Ireland, where I met Konni and Hank, who had flown in from Porto. First night, we just found our Airbnb, got a little food at a local market, and then started the real vacation that Konni had done a great job of planning for the next several days. I talked a lot about the various experiences that we all shared in Ireland in the previous two episodes, so I won't talk about those here, which included the arrival at the airport in Ireland and such things. So please be sure to check out the previous two episodes, 14 and 15, if you're interested in that. So Saturday morning, we woke up to another beautiful day in Ireland and went out to catch our bus to head into Dublin to get our tour of the Wicklow Mountains. And I told the whole story about actually catching the third bus that came. So we missed the tour on that day and spent the day walking around Dublin city central. As we were walking around heading toward the central portion of Dublin, we came across this amazing solid brick building that, as I recall, was an old train station. It wasn't being used for that any longer, but it just struck my eye, so I took a minute or so to catch a video of it. Our two primary objectives as we walked around Dublin, or I guess I should say my two primary objectives as we wandered around, were one, to identify what looked like a traditional Irish pub to us, and the other was to find a very specific souvenir. I was looking for a small coffee mug that would fit a double espresso amount of coffee. And look, I found one, or I should say Konni found one, showed it to me. I said, "This is perfect." Ultimately, we found our way to what appeared to us to be essentially the center of Dublin. And at this intersection, I thought it would be fun to do a 360-degree spin around of the entire intersection. From there, we wandered around finding interesting, beautiful old buildings, double-decker buses, and then the River Liffey, the main river running through Dublin. It looks very dark and brown, almost like it's polluted, but we're told that is actually the result of seeping through bogs and peat areas and then finding its way to the river, leaving it kind of a very thick brown tea, if you will. Then here, as we crossed a bridge over the River Liffey, I was struck by two very interesting structures. One was the white bridge in front of us that I thought looked something like a sailboat, and then I noticed in the distance many sailboats in the river. I don't know, but I guess that was the design behind this river. And then to the left side was a very interesting glass building that looked like a glass cylinder that had fallen over a little bit. I don't know what that building was, but I did find it very interesting and wondering, how do you walk in that building? After considerably more walking, we were hot and tired and decided it was time to find a pub, traditional or otherwise. This is where I had my first ever genuine Irish Guinness. Our second day began with a trip to Howth, which is almost a small island in the northeasternmost corner of the city of Dublin. We found some open space, public lands with gorgeous views of the sea, wandered down into the town of Howth for some ice cream, and then grabbed another bus back to Dublin, where we found a nice spot to sit and relax and cool off before catching our shuttle to the Merry Ploughboys. The Merry Ploughboys was an experience an Irish friend of ours had referred to us, and it turned out to be everything he said it would be and more. With a full meal and a great show of traditional Irish music and dance. It was truly an evening to remember. On our third full day, we were off to Wicklow Mountain and the Glendough National Monument, which is a trip we missed on the very first day because of the full buses and so on that I spoke about before. So we once again headed into Dublin city center, where I saw this rather unfortunate, prominent, and probably very important figure who had been not so respected by the seagulls. On our way to catch the tour bus, we saw some more beautiful old Irish architecture, including this beautiful old church. Wicklow Mountain and the Glendough National Monument is about an hour's drive south of Dublin and is a truly magical place where I could feel the ancient spirit of Ireland embrace me and renew my soul. After an incredible day of walking, on a gorgeous day in the mostly undisturbed nature of Glendalough, we made our way back to Dublin and were more than ready for some cold refreshment and a meal before we headed back to our cozy cabin in the suburbs to kick up our tired feet and settle in for our last night in Ireland. The following day, after a full Irish breakfast, we made our way back to the airport, said goodbye to Ireland, and returned home to Portugal full of good times and wonderful memories.